All religions have an end of the world. However, few are as violent and complex as the Norse end of the world, Ragnarok. When the skies and oceans boil and the earth freezes over. When the sun and moon are devoured by the wolves Skull and Hati, plunging the world into darkness. This is the final battle between gods and monsters. I present to you Twilight of the Gods by Helen A. Guba. One of the distinctive features of Northern mythology is that the people always believe their gods to be a finite race. The Aesir had a beginning, and so it was therefore a reason that they must have an end. And as they were born of a mixture of the divine and giant elements, they bore within them the germ of death, and were, like men, doomed to suffer a physical death in order to attain spiritual immortality. The Fimbulwinter. Sol and Nanny, pale with affright, drove their chariots trembling along their appointed path, looking back with fear at the pursuing wolves which would shortly overtake and devour them. And as the smiles faded from their face, the earth grew cold and sad, and the terrible Fimbulwinter began. Snow fell from all 4 points of the compass, and the biting wind swept down from the north, and all the earth was covered with a thick layer of snow. This terrible and severe winter lasted 3 whole seasons without break, and was followed by 3 others equally severe, during which all cheer, humanity, and compassion left the earth, and the crimes of man rapidly increased, whilst, in general, the struggle for life. In the dim recess of the Ironwood, the giantess Angarbada diligently fed the wolves Skull and Hati with the marrow of murder and adulterous bones. And such was the prevalence of these crimes that the well-nigh insatiable monsters were never stinted for food. They daily gained strength to pursue Sol and Mani until finally they overtook and devoured them, deluging the earth with blood from their dripping jaws. At the same time, Loki, Fenris, and Garm, renewing their efforts, rent their chains asunder and rushed forth to take their revenge. And the dragon Nidhugg gnawed through the root of the ash Yggdrasil, which shook to its topmost bough. What's after this? Which shook to its topmost bough. Heimdall, noting these ominous portents, immediately raised the Gjallarhorn to his lips and blew the long-awaited call. At the sound of this first rally, the Aesir and Einhir sallied forth from the great hall, ready for the coming fray. The terrible Midgard snake Jormungandr, which had been aroused by the general disturbance, now with immense writhing and commotion, whereby the seas were lashed into huge waves, such as had never before disturbed the deeps of ocean. He crawled out upon the land and hastened to join the dead fray, in which he was to play a prominent part. All the combatants were now assembled on Vidrig's broad plain. On one side were ranged the stern, calm faces of the Aesir, Vanus, and Einhar, while on the other were gathered the motley host of Surtur, the grim frost giants, Hel's pale army, Loki and his dread followers, Garm, Fenris, and Jormungandr, the latter two belching forth fire and smoke, and exhaling clouds of deadly, noxious vapors, which filled all heaven and earth with toxic vapors. But, unfortunately, the host was doomed to succumb. Odin was amongst the first of the Shining Ones to be slain. Not even the Allfather's mighty and high courage and his great attributes could withstand against the tide of evil as personified as the Fenris wolf. Its colossal size assumed greater proportions until finally its wide open maw embraced all space between heaven and earth, and the foul creature rushed upon the Father of Gods and consumed him bodily within its horrid maw. None of the other gods could lend the Allfather a helping hand at that critical moment, for it was a time of sore trial for all. Frey put forth heroic efforts, but Surtur's now flashing sword dealt him a death blow. In his struggle with his arch-enemy Loki, Heimdall fared better, but his last conquest was dearly bought, for he too fell dead. The struggle between Tyr and Garm had a similar tragic end, and Thor, after a most terrible encounter with the Midgard snake, and after slaying him with a strike from Mjolnir, staggered back 9 paces, and was drowned in the flood of venom which poured from the dying monster's jaws. Thank you.